Hello, my name is Professor Bissell, and I'm happy to speak to the Davos question. Please enjoy and check the links at the end, which I give. All of us know that we are in big trouble in this world. One example is Professor Homer Dixon from the University of Toronto, who says that humanity is on the brink of a planetary emergency. In the next 100 years, there will be great violence, hardship, and instability. Many others know the same thing, because we have to deal with problems like population, environment, disease, energy, and poverty. All these are interconnected, and they could cause major collapses in society if we don't deal with them very, very soon. Now, the Davos question is trying to speak about how to solve these. We want us to end poverty. And geniuses often disagree, but on one of the most difficult problems in the world, how to stop poverty, many great thinkers from all over the world agree on one idea that is the most powerful. They say that they are certain that when natural resources are monopolized by a few, poverty is the sure result. They are also certain that when natural human economic rights are respected and natural resources are shared for the good of all, then poverty is eliminated. This is not communism, not socialism. It does not force all to have the same wealth, but it does guarantee that everyone has a similar opportunity at the beginning of life. What each person does with this opportunity depends on him. This idea gives far greater incentives to make money and work hard than communism, socialism, and even capitalism. In real cases, in many places, it has accomplished national growth of almost triple when that capitalism produces on average. Some great thinkers who believe that equal access to natural resources is a natural and basic human right are Pliny the Elder, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Moses and God in the Bible, Mencius and Confucius, Dr. Sun Yat-sen, atheists Voltaire, Rousseau, and Albert Einstein, Helen Keller, Tolstoy, John Keynes, Winston Churchill, and hundreds of other great thinkers. There's almost no idea that has so much philosophical support from many different backgrounds. And why is this? They know it is the solution to poverty. It's not just a utopian idea. It has worked many times in history, and it can eliminate almost all extreme poverty within about 10 years or less. This idea is land rent, or the single tax. Canceling debts and giving money are helpful, but they don't accomplish anything permanent. The systems that cause them are still in place. Making a fair trade is a much better idea that works better, but land rent dwarfs them all in how well it can solve poverty, and how easy it is to implement, and how it works very well. Here's a short summary of the idea. How do people make money? Well, we make money from land and businesses, natural resources like gold and coal and wood and corn and rice and silicon and sand made into CDs, many other things that make... There you go, sorry about that. Okay, many other things that make the things that we buy and sell. But who made the land? Who made the paper? Who made the trees? Who made the gold? Who made silver? Who made all these things? Everyone agrees that no person made these things. Atheists don't have an answer exactly, but they also agree that no person made these things. In the Bible it says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. The world and all its people belong to Him." God made all these things according to many ideas of religious people. He also says, "The silver is mine and the gold is mine," says God. So we know that there is nothing on this planet that came from people making it. No natural resources were made by God. We developed them into products, yes, but originally no natural resources were made by any person. Because of that, all of us should share them together, and we should enjoy them together. Again, this does not mean that all wealth is equal, but it does mean that all people have natural rights to resources like coal, gold, oil, farm, trees, paper, metals, all these things should be shared basically equally. We have to realize that all these things come from God, as well as the ability to make money, which the Bible says also. We are constantly using gifts from God, and every benefit we have, every kiss, every hug, every product we use is all due to the generosity of God. Therefore, we cannot use our money or things just for our own selfishness while other people starve. There's an idea that came in the Bible about how to solve the problem, but it's not just from the Bible. It happened in many, many different cultures, and I'm going to explain a little bit of it, okay? The idea is basically that called Jubilee, where there's equal ownership of the land. In the Bible, God divided tribes, and He gave every tribe and family approximately equal ownership of land. And also, you could never sell the land permanently. You could rent it out for a maximum of 49 years, but then it would come back to the original family, meaning that every generation had a new chance with that land. And so every generation had a guarantee of a good chance at a good future for their generation. They all had equal access to land and natural resources. And so there's another system that's very similar to this. This system would be very good, but probably it could only happen with war and great restructuring of society. But there's another idea called land rent, which is very similar. And this is a summary of the ideas of land rent. Number one, it has basic economic rights for all. Societies must recognize each person's basic economic rights to share nature. This right is recognized by almost all philosophers as basic justice, as we'll see soon. Number two, most governments charge taxes on many things: salary, work, houses, business, sales tax, and other things. But these are not just taxes because they steal people's labor. But it is just to tax people for using nature because they didn't make land, trees, gold, or any of those things. So land rent only taxes nature use, nothing else. Usually about 10% of the value of the land or nature. And each person has the full right to keep or sell whatever they make. The land tax will be used for education, medical care, roads, and other projects that benefit everyone. Benefits are: it has security for all, equal opportunity, incentives and freedoms for all, the poor are not taxed so they can save up, people keep 100% of the profit from their work, land productivity is maximized, unused land is sold, monopolies and privilege is prevented. Number three, nature can't be inherited. Natural resources like land cannot be inherited since they belong to society. Whoever wants to use it, they pay tax to society. This ensures equality and opportunity for every generation. Here are some philosophers who support this idea. Pliny the Elder said, "Land monopoly ruined Rome." Abraham Lincoln said, "The land, the earth God gave to man for his home, sustenance, and support, should never be the possession of any man, corporation, society, or unfriendly government, any more than the air or water." Thomas Jefferson wrote, "The earth is given as a common stock for men to labor and to live on." Mencius said, "In the market," here's Thomas Jefferson, "the earth is given as a common stock for men to labor on and live on." Mencius said, "In the marketplaces, charge land rent, but don't tax the goods. Do this, and all the merchants in the realm will be pleased and will want to set up shop in your markets." Dr. Sun Yat-sen said, "The land tax, as the only means of supporting the government, is an infinitely just, reasonable, and equitably distributed tax. The centuries of heavy and irregular taxation for the benefit of the Manchus have shown China the injustice of any other system of taxation." Voltaire said, "The fruits of the earth are a common heritage of all, to which each man has an equal right." Rousseau said, You are undone if you forget that the fruits of the earth belong to us all, and the earth itself to no one. There are many other thinkers, Einstein, Helen Keller, Tolstoy, and many others, who believe that land rent is the solution to poverty. Does it work to eliminate and stop poverty? Yes. Here are 3 examples of 28 that I know about. Number 1 was in Taiwan. When Chiang Kai-shek retreated to Taiwan in the 1940s, the people were very poor and hungry, extremely poor. 20 rich families controlled the land in the entire island. General Chiang felt that he had lost the war with Mao Zedong in China because Mao Zedong promised equality to all and equal land. So he said, I'm going to learn from that mistake, and in Taiwan, he started the system of land rent. Soon, owning and holding lots of land was not profitable at all because all taxes were based on land. So they sold off the land they weren't using as fast as possible at cheap prices. Many farmers worked hard on this new land that they had bought. Within 10 years, debts were paid off, hunger was ended, and the economy began to skyrocket. Taiwan set world records with 10% per year GDP growth and 20% growth in their industries. By comparison, Korea's GDP growth in 2005 was about 3.5%. So land rent produced an economic growth about 3 times better than capitalism. Douglas MacArthur encouraged Japan and Korea to do the same thing. In less than 50 years, both countries have risen to be the top 15 economies in the world. Many countries have done the same thing. And it's because of land rent and sharing natural resources. Another one was in California. In the 1890s in California, one man, Henry Miller, owned 1 million acres of land. Miller could travel from Mexico to Oregon and spend every night on his land. California started following land rent, and Miller realized he would be poor if he kept all that unused land. He sold the land to 7,000 farmers, and California became the breadbasket of America and is now about the 5th largest economy in the world. In China also it worked as well. About 28 other cities and things it worked. And now in China also it worked. Confucius said that about 1,000 years before his time, when the Great Way prevailed, natural resources were fully used for the benefit of all and not appropriated for selfish ends. Thus, evil schemings were repressed, and robbers, thieves, and other lawless elements failed to arise, so that outer doors did not have to be shut. This was the age of the great commonwealth of peace and prosperity. Many native peoples in history, like the Indians, the Eskimos, and many others, also shared nature, and they almost never had poverty like we do. Again, this is not forcing equal wealth, but it is guaranteeing equal opportunity. These examples and many more show us that people, nations, all experience incredible economic growth when we share God's resources and take care of each other's basic needs. It drastically improves the efficiency of using resources and also human technology and knowledge and brain power and physical ability. When people share God's resources and when the desire for luxury and opulence is not number one, there is so much peace and safety that you don't even have to lock your doors. Just amazing. Unfortunately, many countries ignore this principle, and the top 5% in the world, sometimes even the top 1%, own more than 90% of the natural resources. God said to study His Bible and meditate on it every day so that you can be sure to obey and benefit from that, and if we do, we'll be prosperous and we can deal wisely and have good success. He also said this, that we should not just pretend that we love others, really love them. These are principles that solve poverty. Capitalism, which is based on greed, tells us just to think about ourselves. But what happens when we do this? Nationalism says the comfort of the people in any country is more important than foreigners having enough food, clean water, and housing. As a result, the world spends $1 trillion in military. But God says, love one another. Selfishness says, I've got to have the latest fashions, the newest jeans, the newest BMW. My pleasures are more important than others' basic needs. As a result, we have to set up locks, guard walls, security systems, security guards, policemen. The costs of security in society are astronomical, at least in the trillions of dollars. God says, love one another. Capitalism says you can own nature without caring for others' rights. As a result, we waste the lives of millions and billions, including many probable Einsteins, because they can't even afford to learn to read and write. But God says, love one another. Selfishness says that if I have AIDS, I'm going to justify my sexual needs and not care about others. And so we have an AIDS epidemic that is spreading like lightning and affecting even babies when they're born. But God says, think of others first. We have situations with Enron and businessmen who deceive their shareholders and they embezzle vast sums. This bankrupts the life savings of others, often grandparents and elderly. But God says, love one another. The Bible tells us that love is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Money is good and right in its place, and the Bible says that also in many places that money is useful and important. But if it's number one, it causes a flood of evil problems that destroy our world. My friends, God's people know the rights of the poor, but the wicked don't even care to know. But no man is an island. God, please with us. Live by the principles of love and justice, for God has much to give us, and riches cannot make up for sin. We cannot live luxurious lives, the satisfying life that God intended with all His joy, if we live selfishly and luxuriously. We cannot experience compassion, satisfaction, grace, and the true beauty of life unless we truly recognize that everything we have comes from God, and every single person on the planet is entitled to share these blessings. And we cannot enjoy these things unless we serve others with our talents and abilities. To finish, I want to quote from our two-time Nobel Prize winner Albert Schweitzer. He said this, and keep it in your mind always. One thing I know, the only ones among you who will really be happy are those who will have sought and found how to serve. I hope that you choose to make love and justice the foundation of your life, and use your talents to help the poor, to join NGOs, to volunteer, to support or teach orphans, to protest against injustice through organizations like Amnesty International and the One Campaign, and in many other ways, create rivers of justice and fountains of mercy and love flowing to all points of our world. Truly love one another. Use your talents, abilities, and money wisely to help restore basic human rights in all areas, including economic. Will you do that? Please check these websites for more information about how you too can join this fight against poverty.